Hi, my name is Ashley Miller. I'm 22 years old and I've been riding horses for about 14 years. I've done mostly the equitation and jumpers. And my rider today is Amanda Shamer. She's also been riding for very many years and she has done mostly the hunters. The horse that we'll be using is Samson. He's a school horse, but he has a lot of experience in the equitation and he is very sensitive to the rider's aids, which is going to be very helpful for us for what we're going to be working on. Today we're going to be working on making adjustments smoothly, both on the flat and over fences. To do that, we're going to be practicing some lengthenings and some collection, as well as some transitions, so that we can get the horse listening to us without any sudden adjustments or unnecessary movements. I have already done a safety check on Amanda and Samson. Amanda's wearing an approved helmet. All of her tack and equipment fits appropriately and is in good condition, and her girth is tight. So I've already had her walking for about 5 minutes, so we're going to start the flat work tracking to the left. So the first thing I want you to do is move up into a nice forward going trot. Start to ask him to soften his mouth, but while you're doing that, you should not lose any of the forward-going energy. Getting him connected correctly is going to make it much easier for us to practice our adjustments. Okay, so ask for a little bit more out of him. Even more than that. Soften his lips a little bit more than that. He can get a little bit hard in his mouth, so don't be afraid to really ask him to soften through his lips. Always keeping the forward energy. Good. Okay, now that we've got him connected, we're going to practice some lengthenings and collection. So first, I want you to show me a lengthening. You want to sit lightly and stay longer out of the saddle because you want to ask him for a longer step. So the longer your seat is out of the saddle, the longer his step will be. That looks much more appropriate for a lengthening of a stride. Okay, so now that we've got a longer stride, I want you to collect his stride. Keeping him soft so that there's no abrupt movements. And you can sit the collected trot. Keeping the energy so that he doesn't think you want him to walk. Okay, and while you're collecting, you still need the same energy that you had when you were lengthening. That's better. You need the same energy, but it's going to be more vertical energy rather than longitudinal energy. Okay, you want to compress his body so that it comes up. That's better. Now that we've worked on transitions within the gates, we're going to work on some transitions between the gates. So I want you to show me a pulse. Very nice. That was very soft. I didn't see him do anything abrupt. And I want the same idea when you move him up to the trot. Very good. Keeping him soft and round. Okay, now show me another lengthening. Get that same energy back. A little more than that. Momentum when you transition to the walk, okay? Because while you want it to be soft, you do not want it to be weak. So that was very smart. Okay, so now that you have a nice forward walk, move into the canter. Good, that was very soft. Okay, so right now he looks a little bit weak. You're going to have to need the same energy that you had at the trot when you're cantering. That looks better already. Can you tell the difference between that end of the ring and that end? Huge difference. Okay. Good. So now show me a lengthening of stride. Okay, still not a whole lot different. I want you to show me a canter that you would feel comfortable jumping a 4-foot jump with. You tell me when you think you could jump a 4-foot jump. Now, okay, that's definitely closer. Okay, you need them a little bit more connected. There you go. Now keep the energy. When you ask him to soften, you need to add more leg so that he doesn't take that as a signal to do a downward transition. There you go. That's better. Much better. That's a little bit more energy. Yeah, right there. That's perfect. Perfect. That is the energy you need when you are lengthening the stride of the hand. Now show me another collection. Now remember, you have to add the leg before you ask for the collection. Very good. That was much better than the other direction because at no point did I think that he was going to break. So that's good because it means that you have the energy you needed to collect the stride. Can you feel the difference from the first collection to this one?
Yeah, it's much better.
Good. Okay, now I want you to do a transition to the trot. Okay, I thought that could have been a little stronger, so why don't we try it one more time? I think you lost a little bit of impulsion when you did the downward transition. So move back up into the canter. And get him connected once again. Round. A little more energy. You need more energy going into the transition so that you don't lose the impulsion when you ask him to trot. Okay, and when you get to the door, I want you to trot. Much better. Can you feel the improvement?
Much better, yeah.
Okay, good. And that trot looks fantastic. Okay, why don't you let him walk? And we're going to use those same ideas when we jump in the other ring, okay? Because in the equitation ring, you're going to have to do a lot of courses where it requires a lot of adjusting, okay? Whether it's adjusting your stride or doing transitions because you're testing with a halt or a trot fence, okay? Because it's very important to be able to not only complete those adjustments, but complete them smoothly, okay? So that's really good practice for what we're going to work on over the fences. Okay, so now that we've warmed up already over a few smaller jumps, we're going to start with a figure 8 exercise that will help you to make adjustments when you're doing related distances. So the first exercise we're going to do is this green box over here, bending in 8 strides to the beige box, around the corner to this white rail, 5 strides to the roll top. And those strides, the 8 stride and the 5 stride, are the normal set strides. Okay? After you do that, we're going to work on adjusting his stride within the line. So why don't you pick up a left lead and do the figure 8. Okay, that was and it is a quiet line. So I think bending the line a little bit more would have made the 8 strides fit a little more appropriately, but it was still very, very nice and very soft. So, but you know, in an equitation show, you might pin a little bit lower than somebody that would have made the strides fit a little bit better. Okay, so now we're going to do the add strides. So you're going to do the same exercise, but you're going to do 9 strides in this bending line and 6 strides in the second bending line. All right. The way that you should have ridden it the first time.
Right.
So it was a very, very nice 8 strides. Unfortunately, that's not what I asked you to do. So we're going to try it again. And in the second line, you were a little bit tight coming out. So what can we do to fix that? Well, when you came in, you saw a little bit of a bigger distance, which is okay, but it probably didn't set you up very well for the added 6 strides. So when you're coming out of the corner, you really need to try and get the same canter that we had in the flat work, where he's connected and he has energy, but it's a short canter stride, okay? You're not going to need the big canter stride that you had when we were lengthening, okay? So why don't we try that again, and you might need to bend this even more than you did before, okay? And we're going to try and collect his stride coming out of the corner and try and add the stride instead of taking the longer distance, okay? Much better. I thought the 6 strides fit much more appropriately there. In the first line, you got it done, which I was happy to see, but it did end up being a little tight and you almost broke to the trot, okay? So what you could have done was ask for the shortening a little earlier, okay? You knew from last time that it was going to be very tight, so what you needed to think about was the first stride landing off the first jump. Collect his stride. Don't wait until, you know, the 5th or 6th stride to start shortening his stride. Okay? But you had the right idea, it was just a little late. Okay, so now we're going to practice the lengthening of the stride, and we're going to leave one stride out in both of the lines. Okay, so now you're going to ride the first line in a 7 and the second line in a 4. So you're going to have to get the canter that we had in the flat when you were lengthening, and I said you need to feel like you can jump a 4-foot jump. These jumps aren't at 4 foot, but you are leaving a stride out, okay? So you're going to need a much, much longer stride than you just showed me, okay? So why don't you try that? Your best course yet, I think. How did it feel?
Much better.
Much better, okay. So, the first line I thought you measured very, very well. And what I really liked was that you didn't lose the impulsion through the corner, okay? And you came very forward out of the corner, which was great because this is a very forward line, okay? So it was very, very well ridden. So, we're going to give him a little walk break, and we're going to put a course together so that we can kind of put all the skills that we've been working on together in one course. So we're going to start on the white gate from a right lead, and then you're going to do this bending line in the forward 7 strides. Then you're going to do your other bending line in the quiet added 6 strides. And then you're going to do the stone fence to this middle fence in a forward 3, and then to the green box in a quiet 3. Okay, so this is going to help you to use the skills that you've learned and both lengthen and collect within the same course. Okay, so go ahead and start whenever you're ready. Was probably the best part of your course. So I was very impressed with that. You adjusted him perfectly. The strides fit well. Your first bending line in the 7, I thought you jumped in a little bit long, but you compensated well and you still made the stride fit appropriately. And on this bending line, you had the right idea coming in. You saw a shorter distance coming in, which was very smart. But then, you didn't quite collect him enough, okay? It's kind of the same idea as the other bending line. You need to collect him on the first stride rather than the last stride, okay? So I'm going to have you do just that bending line again in the 6 strides, and we'll try and improve that. Much better. And the distance coming in was even a little bit longer than the one you had before, but you still made the 6 strides fit much better. So that was a very good improvement. Now the last thing I want you to do is I want you to do those 2 bending lines once more. I want you to do the forward 7 and then the quiet adding 6, okay? Because you definitely improved on the 6 strides adding, but you were not coming off of a very forward line, okay? So I want you to see if you can try and put those 2 together and make both of them fit well. Okay, now think about getting that same collection you had on the flag. I think maybe what you can work on is finding different ways to collect his stride rather than using your rein, okay? If you did not have any reins, if you had to do a course with no reins, how would you slow him down?
Through the position of my upper body and through my feet and leg aids.
Very good. Okay, so that is what you can think about when you're having trouble getting his stride collected to the point where you can fit the strides in appropriately, okay? So why don't you do that line one more time? We'll do that same exercise, the 7 to the 6, and try and think about using your thigh and your upper body to slow him down in addition to your rein, okay? Because it doesn't seem like that's quite enough. Can you feel a difference?
Huge difference.
Very well done. That was much, much better. in him because the last time you did it, he was a little harder against your rein, and he inverted just a little bit more. And there he was much more quiet, and he compressed his strides from front to back, rather than inverting and hitting the ground very hard to get that last stride. So that was a huge... Okay, so now that we've had a chance to practice some of the lengthening and shortening exercises and put the course together, do you have any questions about what we did today?
Well, I guess, what do you think I should work on between now and our next lesson?
Well, I think you should definitely continue the work on the flat, continue getting a nice big canter stride, and being able to transition from the big long canter stride to a very collected but energetic canter stride. I also think that you should work on, when you jump, using more of your thigh, the front of your thigh, and holding your upper body, and using a quiet seat to ask for the collection rather than only using your rein, especially on a horse as sensitive as Samson, okay? Because it will make the adjustment appear much softer and much more inconspicuous, which is ideal for the equitation ring. You know, you want to be able to make adjustments, but you don't want anybody to know that you're making them, okay? So that is what I think you should work on for the next time we ride. Okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you.